Guys, welcome back to another video. Today I will be showing you guys all the books I read in April. In total, I read a surprising 11 books. Um, I just wanted to read a lot and that eventually dwindled, but for like a week, the last week of April, I stopped reading that much. But then yesterday, so the 30th of April, I did read like 170 something pages all of a sudden. So it was a really, really good month. I read 2 romances, 1 Greek mythology book, and 8 fantasy books. All books except one I gave 4 stars. So I liked all books, but they weren't really memorable. Or they were, I don't think about them every day. I also, at the start of the year, had a lot of books on my TBR, 2 of those being Onyx Storm and Powerless. Now, if you look at the TBR, you can't really see the corner, but you might notice those 2 books aren't there. Because I read them. So I'm very happy with that. And they were good. They were really good. So let's just hop into it. Starting off with Powerless. I just hopped right into this series, clearly. I don't know. I was kind of in the mood for Powerless. It's by Lauren Roberts, and I gave it 4 stars. It's basically about Peyton Gray and Kai Azar, and Peyton gets like chosen to play in these games, and she doesn't die in the games. Yippee! But it was really good, and she has to go through these trials and stuff, and her and Kai kind of get closer, but at the end they're not that close anymore. It was pretty good. Yeah, I was looking at the back to see if oh, and there's a magic system. That was what I can grasp from the back. And then you have like elites, ordinaries, and mundanes, and and basically the kingdom which Kai Azar is the prince in has kills ordinaries because they don't really have magic, because there was this plague and that altered people and gave them abilities. And then you have mundanes and elites, and they do have abilities. Mundanes less important than elites. And Peyton is an ordinary. So she has to like hide from people. She doesn't really hide, she just acts as if she isn't an ordinary. The ending was definitely almost had me sobbing, almost had me crying. So it was really good. I also think this cover is so pretty. So, and I'm very happy I finished it. Then the same day I read Powerless, I read Powerful, which is a novella that takes place after Powerless and before Reckless. And it's basically about Adina and I want to say Malachi, but I'm not. But it's not Malachi. It's not Malachi. No. Makoto. Yeah, Adina and Makoto, and it basically kind of Adina. It wasn't really. It was mostly like them falling in love and stuff, and because now Peyton has left Adina to be with the trials. So Adina now has to figure out how to get food, because they don't have. Peyton and Adina didn't have money, and Peyton always handled the stealing part. So Adina does not know how to get food. So her and Makoto team up, and he gets her food, and she helps him or something. And the end had almost had me crying. Yeah. It was good. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read a book that came out this month, I think, and which I have been waiting for a while. And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. I think this is a duology, but I'm really not sure. This is book 2, at least. The first book was First Time Caller. This book is about Delilah and Jackson, and they work for the weather forecast on different stations, and they kind of don't like each other. Delilah is kind of whimsical, and Jackson is not whimsical. And the shows they work on, for Jackson, it's a radio show, and for Delilah, it's a TV show. Those two shows start working together because there's this massive weather storm coming, so they want to send the two to the area where the weather storm gets the worst. But they don't really like each other, so it's kind of like it's not really enemies, Enemies doesn't really exist in romance books, but they don't really like each other. But they have to like each other because they gotta work together. It was really good. I gave it 4 stars. Naturally, after the romance, I hopped right back into fantasy, reading The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. This is not my first Catherine Doyle book, surprisingly. She co-wrote the Twisted Crown series with Catherine something. And I read that series like last year in March. So, but this is definitely very different from that series. It's about Sarah, and her mom gets murdered. So now she's an orphan and she doesn't have anywhere to go. So she goes to this organization, the Cloaks, that basically use something, I forgot what it's called, shade. They would use shade in their cloaks and gloves and that to hide in the shadows and then steal stuff. But you also have the daggers, and the daggers also use shade, but they consume the shade and kill people. And the cloaks and the daggers have this agreement: they don't kill each other, they don't bother each other. And they're also allowed to do this by the king. The king says it's fine, so. But Sarah joins the Cloaks, and Ransom is part of the Daggers. And obviously, they're enemies. Like, she's from the Cloak, he's from the Daggers. Enemy organization, enemies people. Duh. But he kind of follows her around, and eventually they get closer to each other and discover that, hey, this shade magic isn't good to consume. But they knew that. And there are these monster creatures that are starting to rise and kill people, and it's horrifying. And they need to kind of work together or something. I don't really remember, but they gotta fix it. I was reading this and I was like, I want to finish it today, but I'm probably not gonna finish it today. And then I stayed up till 10:30 to finish it at night. So it was definitely good, and I gave it 4 stars naturally. Moving on to the only book that hasn't been rated at 4 stars, Onyx Storm. I rated this 4.5 stars by Rebecca Yarros. It's kind of about Violet and Xaden. Obviously, I can't tell a lot about the book because then I spoil the rest of the books. It involves dragons though. I can't really tell you a lot because then I'd spoil the rest. But it was really good. I do recommend the series. This is the 3rd book in the series. But if you didn't like Fourth Wing, don't continue the series. Iron Flame is so long and it dragged out so much. And yeah, Onyx Storm was good, and the ending of Iron Flame was good, but Iron Flame is 600 something pages or something. So, and it was a bunch of yapping. But this book was really good. I am waiting for book 4 and that other weird book that's coming out. But I've not decided whether I'm gonna buy that book because it's not book 4, and what's it about? What is it really about then? You know? Next, I started a series and then didn't continue it. A Court of Thorns and Roses. I rated this 4 stars. It was fine. It's basically about Feyre, and Feyre gets kidnapped. Feyre kills a wolf, and she thought it was a wolf. It was not a wolf, and then she gets kidnapped. Yay! And brought to this Fey world, where eventually she has to, like, she plays these trials, and it's so chaotic. It's so chaotic. It was good. I stopped reading the series after this book because I wanted to read other books, but I've heard the other books are better than this book, so I'm excited to see how it's gonna pan out. And this book is by Sarah J. Maas, by the way. And I was still going at it with fantasy books, by the way, which I proceeded to read Release Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is the second book in the New Republic series, and it follows Rosabelle and James. And again, I can't tell you much about this book because then I would be spoiling Watch Me. And we don't want that. Though I do want to say, Rosabelle can just die on command. It's really confusing. I've heard a lot of people don't like her. I do like her. I think she's cool. Like, yeah, it's the classic eye on the cover. It also has a really pretty under the dust jacket. Look at that. That's so pretty. I don't have one with sprayed edges though, because I like literally couldn't find one with sprayed edges. That also was from Electric Monkey online, and I don't really have the option to go to a bookstore and buy one because first of all, that's fucking expensive. I got this book for 17 euros, and the sprayed edges would have like made it 25 euros if I got it from a bookstore, and also then I would have had to go to the bookstore, which is a challenge in and of itself, because what am I going to do? Take the bus? Then I would spend another, like a lot of people say the Netherlands is good, but bus prices are expensive, bro. I would have lost, like, another, like a lot more. And, I would have lost a lot more than 25 euros, but, like, it just wasn't worth it, so I got this one online, and I then proceeded to read another hardback and another fantasy, Reckless by Lauren Roberts. Yeah, this was really, compared to how long Powerless was on my TBR, 180 days, and probably more. And then I just bought Reckless, and it was, I bought some new books, and Reckless was the second book I read out of the 6 books I bought. So it was, yeah, out of the 6 books, I've also read 5 in total. Release Me, Reckless, and, yeah, so the other 3 here. But, again, I can't tell you a lot about it, because then I'd be spoiling the series. But it was really good. Kai and Peyton kind of need to meet again. They don't like each other. They try killing each other a couple times, as enemies in fantasy books do. Yeah, because they're enemies now. They were teetering the edge of lovers in the Powerless, but now they're enemies. They're enemies. Trust. For good reason. For good reason. But it was really good. I think I like this cover less than Powerless, but it matches, so it's okay. I am excited to buy Fearless, so I'm just gonna wait until my TBR is lower so I can buy it. And actually read 5 books of the books I bought. I read 4. Binding 13 is still on my TBR, and Enchanting the Fae Queen is too. It's like right next to the orange book. You can't see it, but it's there, I swear. Moving on to my second romance, Collide by Bal Gabra. I have been waiting. I wanted to buy this book for so long that, I mean, I didn't immediately read it. There were other books I wanted to read, but I have read it now. And I will be buying book 2 whenever I lower my DVR, which I'm planning to do quickly. So it's about Summer and I want to say Aiden, and Aiden is in a little bit of trouble. You know, he did something bad. Not really. He just took the blame for his teammates, but he did something bad and is now being punished for it. And Summer needs to do this project, and she needs to do that with an athlete. And her project teacher, professor, says you need to do that with Aiden because that's his punishment. So she doesn't really like him because she doesn't like hockey people. Like, basketball people are fine, but not hockey people. Hockey people are no go for her. They do end up together. And now they need to work together, and it's pretty cute. It's I don't think it matters with this one when you read it. And now back to you. I do recommend reading it in winter because of like the snowstorm, but this one doesn't really matter. It's just cute. It's not even that thick, you know. I'm trying to convince you to read it. Um, I've not read the Icebreaker series, but I've heard this one is better than the Icebreaker series. I'm just the messenger, but it was really good. Summer, I did say her name was Summer. I think I did. Maybe I was calling her different. Summer and Aiden. They're adorable. There are 2 more books out, I think. Spiral and another one. There are 2 books out in the series, and a third, and I think the 4th book is coming out in May. I want to say, but I'm not really sure. But I gave it 4 stars. It was adorable. I loved it. Then I obviously went back into fantasy books. What did we expect? I read The Darkness Within Us. And I think and this is the 2nd book in a duology. And I think I finally understand why this is under the dust jacket. Because book 1 follows one sister and this book follows the other sister, which I'll get into soon. And they write letters to each other. Eventually. And they're not even passive aggressive anymore. Yay! This book is about Chrysanta. And Chrysanta is, she seems like a bitch in book 1, I'm gonna say. I did not like her in book 1. I like her now. This book is by, Tricia Levenseller, by the way. But in book 1, she was just mean. She wasn't put in a kind light. She was portrayed as this like dumb character. She's not dumb. She like was fucking with her dad. Not literally, but like, you know. And she somehow got to choose her own husband, because this is kind of placed in an old setting and stuff. She got to choose her husband, kind of. And she chose this old ass guy with no living family. Because the guy was rich, and the guy was gonna die soon anyway. So she spent most of the marriage beside his bed, you know, caring for him. And then he died. And she's like, yes, I'm free. I am now a duchess? I'm not sure. A lady. Yeah, he was a lord, she's now a lady. Grace. Grace, actually. Not lady, shit. And then suddenly, this guy shows up, and it's like, I'm his grandchild. Chrysanta does not like that. Logically so. I would also not like it if I married this guy for money, and then suddenly his grandchild showed up. And he was also saying like, yeah, I'm in the will. Read the will. And she read the will. She got the will read to her. She's not stupid. That's really shown in this book. And then she starts like, this guy's weird, you know? There's something off about him. And he's also not good with being a duke, I think. So she needs to give him lessons, and she doesn't really like him. She hates him. They're enemies, naturally, because he stole her plan. He just threw her plan out the window, and she does not like that. Obviously they fall in love. It's an enemies to lovers. And she starts teaching him shit, and it was really good. I do recommend the series. It's not even that big. The books aren't that big. They're like a little over 300 pages. You know, they're not that big. You can just read them. They're not big. And they're really pretty. You know, sprayed edges, a beautiful dust jacket, a beautiful under the dust jacket. What more do you want? You know, it was really good. I recommend them. I recommend this whole series. First book is The Shadows Between Us. Read that book first. It's important. Lastly, the book I finished literally on the last day of April, Elektra by Jennifer Saint. Just like Collide, I have wanted this book for so long. I have wanted all her books for a while, except for the new release. That one only came out in April, so, but I thought this was the first published book. I wasn't really looking. I didn't know which books were published first, so I looked at the one that was the least expensive, and that was this one. This book was the second that was published. I found the first published one, so I'm gonna buy that one next. But it was really good. 4 stars. I really like Greek mythology and retellings. I have like a shelf full. Almost. It's gonna be full. Trust. Soon. One day. And it's basically about like Electra's life, kind of, but it shows multiple POVs. Electra, obviously, her mother, Clytemnestra, and this girl, Cassandra. You may have heard of Cassandra, actually. She's the girl that can see shit, you know? Yeah, but no one believes her. That one. And, basically, it all started with a guy, and he had a couple children, and 3 sons, I think. And these 2 sons, Thyestes and Atreus, they did not like the other son, so they teamed up and killed him. You do not really... It's told in the book, but... This is told in the book, but it's important to trust. And then Atreus was the heir to the throne, but Thyestes did not like that. So, he usurped his brother, killed Atreus, and left his 2 sons, Agamemnon and Menelaus, and stuff, go. Agamemnon and Menelaus, they did not like that. So they went back, eventually, when they were grown, killed Thyestes, let his son Aegisthus go, and Agamemnon took over the throne. Menelaus ruled Sparta with Helen. And Agamemnon took Clytemnestra as his wife. They had 4 children together: Iphigenia, Chrysothemis, Electra, and Orestes, in that order, as is told in the book. Those were all the books I read in April. I also bought some books in April, so I do gotta show you guys that eventually, soon. Probably in a short, because those get a lot of views. And I'm gonna continue reading, because currently I'm reading Enchanting the Fae Queen by Stephanie Burgess, and surprisingly, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I read a whole chapter yesterday, guys. That's awesome. And I read a lot of, I'm somewhere. I've read something. I think like 39 pages or something. What's that? 37 pages, but it's okay. It's okay. So I'm gonna just continue reading and see you guys in the next video, whenever that is.